People who just up and left one day and started a new life. What was your experience like? By Ask Reddit.
I did this a year and a half ago. Best thing I've ever done. Moved from Western New York to Arizona. It was tough at first with trying to get on my feet, and when I did, the pandemic started. But it's easier to do than most people think. I believe most people don't do it because of the unknown and scared of change. For me, I'm happier than I've ever been. I have a really good paying job. The best paying job I've ever had actually. And the first job I've ever had that I enjoy going to. I'm 34, so that's saying something. And to live where I live, views of mountains, beautiful weather, it's just a dream come true.
For a plethora of reasons, LOL. Weather being one. Geographically is another. Quality of life, etc.
62 and 272. Did you try getting a job as a bouncer or something involving security?
This. Arizona's nightlife is absolutely insane sometimes and good. Physically present bouncers/security are always generally in demand. Great way to make connections and meet people within that world too.
The solution was right there the whole time.
Technical writers and copywriter are legit careers. Not a BS liberal degree. They get paid well.
Most definite. I see job postings for tech writers all the time and the pay is usually pretty good. Not saying everybody who's hiring will have the same process, but I give you my perspective as a hiring manager. 1. Your degree is very generic, only useful in very specific cases. If the job is unrelated to your degree, it won't do much good. 2. You seem to be relying exclusively on your degree. Even when I hire someone junior level, I look for people with a little extra. Maybe they've done some pro bono work for an NGO, maybe they participated in some classes or courses to develop some additional skills. If relevant to the job, that's better. 3. Try to apply to your interests. You like spending time around the gym and are a big guy, maybe search for a job related to that. Could be a store selling gym equipment, maybe logistics of such stuff. Nobody wants to say this, but most people get jobs outside of their degree. It's not the degree that's terrible. It's the expectations of people have with a specific degree. If you want a job, the best asset you can have is knowing people already in the industry. Networking is great and people should be doing that while studying for their degrees. Study whatever you want and put in the effort to network.
Dude, my friend from an old job always raved about UC Santa Barbara. Apparently it's a paradise.
I do want to let you know the January part was not a big part of it. You should have hit up restaurants or golf courses to get a decent paying job quickly in Scottsdale and surrounding areas. January is when Arizona's economy really starts bustling because of the snowbirds. When you said it only took you 3 days to find a place to stay, I wasn't surprised at all. I was extremely surprised you couldn't find a job, but I don't know what year this was. I've lived in Arizona a long time, and not far from Scottsdale, and have never had a problem finding work. Anecdotal, I know. I'm sorry you had such a rough time in this beautiful state.
Everyone moving to Arizona. I did get a job before moving to Phoenix in January, but I did up and go with no friends or family out here. Got a job and started 2 weeks later, moving my entire life.
Literally just did something similar 3 weeks ago. Moved from Iowa to Phoenix and my life hasn't been this good in years. I haven't been this happy with what's going on in my life in so long, and it's so refreshing. I luckily had some family to support me through the transition, and it's been a little rocky, but I'm so glad I made the leap. Good on you, friend.
4 years ago, I abruptly quit a job I had worked for 7.5 years that I finally had to admit was a dead end. I got a job at a lodge in a national park flipping burgers for minimum wage. I didn't know a single person there when I moved. But it quickly led to traveling to amazing places like Alaska and making lots of friends from all over the world. The experience gave me the confidence to really pursue my career goals, and last year I finally got my dream job. Nothing good happens in your comfort zone. Edit. I've never had a comment get nearly this much feedback, and I regret the wording of that last sentence, which I didn't think through. It was more aimed at those who are feeling stuck and have big dreams but are afraid to make a change. There's nothing wrong at all with being happy with what you have, and with having a more stable existence. In fact, I'm really looking forward to settling down soon and having a more comfy life. I'm sorry my wording came off kind of judgmental. That was not my intention. To answer some questions that are coming up, I'm working as an illustrator and designer for the national parks. It was a really difficult road, working crappy kitchen jobs and working/volunteering on the side to build my resume. Financially, working seasonally can be difficult, and I was scraping by for a few years until I got my current job. It was the right choice for me, but maybe not for everyone.
Nothing good happens in your comfort zone. That hit me pretty hard. I'm definitely not a risk taker, and I crave stability. But someday maybe I'll take the plunge and do something spontaneous like dropping everything and moving somewhere new and exciting. One can dream.
Someone once told me, to get something you don't have, you have to do something you haven't done before. It helps to think of the goal when you first step out of your comfort zone.
Someone once told me, to get something you don't have, you have to do something you haven't done before. I needed that this morning and LT3. I really take issue with the wording here. Maybe nothing exciting happens in your comfort zone, but I live a really good life in my comfort zone every day. I admit it took some moments of leaving my comfort zone to get where I am, but please don't think your life isn't good because it's comfortable. Comfort is a nice thing to have.
I think this attitude is more helpful for people who feel stuck in a bad/mediocre situation, but are worried that change may be worse. If things are going well, then it's not so much of an issue.
I have the same tendencies and can so relate. As a challenge, I try to push myself outside of my comfort zone in little ways to grow as a person. But it is hard when it's not a natural feeling to do so.
What is your dream job?
Flipping burgers in a national park?
Flipping burgers in a national park for above minimum wage.
Flipping burgers for a living wage. Considering the mention of Alaska as an amazing place, as someone currently in Alaska, I have to say that anything that relies on the internet is not it.
Great story. Thinking about this myself.
You were smart in that you had a job, even a small one, already lined up where you could walk on to the minute you set foot on the place. Even a small job means contacts and networking.
I did this last year. Granted, I stayed in the same state. It was terrifying and exciting all rolled into one. I quit my job without having another one. Sold my house without having a home. Packed everything my son and I owned and moved 3 hours away. Best decision ever. It made me feel like I could do it again if I ever wanted to. The world is so big, so it was empowering. Edit. I grew up in the country, lived in the same county for 31 years, and moved to the city. 3 hours away may not seem like much, but it was a huge change.
It made me feel like I could do it again if I ever wanted to. I think that's a very important line there. Having done it before, you know you can always do it again in the future. I'm sure that gives a peace of mind knowing that.
I grew up this way. I went to 10 different schools. Moving and restarting doesn't even faze me. My wife has lived in this same town since she was 2. She knows everyone and everyone knows her. It seems odd to me.
I currently live in a small town and I honestly hate it. People know my name, it's kinda unnerving cause I don't know theirs.
Small town life is not for everyone. After I went off to college, I never came back really except to visit my family. Also, I realized I wasn't as weird or different as I thought. Everyone in my hometown is just way too similar. And judgy if you choose not to conform.
A year ago, me and my partner were addicted to DG, living in a little room, depressed with no motivation, so we just up and left. Today we are in our own place in the country with steady jobs, and I have never been happier.
I'm extremely happy for you. I congratulate you.
I congratulate you on congratulating them.
Hey you, where are you going? Don't leave without my congratulations on your congratulations for that other congratulations.
Congratulations on your change of life. You should be very proud of yourselves for being sober with steady jobs. Not an easy thing to do, but you both did it. Yay.
Sadly, I'm in the same shoes you were in.
As someone who was shooting up $200 to $500 a day in Oxy before I quit around 10 years ago, you really have to do two things if you really are at the stage that you want to quit. The first is very hard, but unlike the first person, staying around the same people you're around usually just does not work. So much of your kinship with those people revolving around DG will make you want to DG even if you stop for a while. You have to just go no contact with them. It's the only way I found any success. The second one, which is also just as hard for some people, is you have to get help. Real help, like replacement treatment, Suboxone, or methadone and therapy. You have to realize going in that the replacements are just as bad, but they do one thing that's essential. They let you normalize your life and take away the seeking DG all the time mentality. Without that, it's very hard for therapy to work through all this stuff simply cause your mind isn't in a state that it can be worked on. It's constantly starving for something it sees as food now and will not stop wanting more to approach where the addiction is coming from. Edit for people asking how I afforded this. I sold them to afford it, and I didn't do that large of an amount for very long, about 6 months. The majority of my addiction was $40 to $80 a day. It was also just more of I was able to do that and it fell in my lap than it was I actively earned it. I just found a much better connection than anyone else I knew had. The people I hung out with were all girls or people who sold POO themselves, so it was easy to do once I had that.
This is excellent advice, and I'm glad you were able to do these things for yourself. I don't know you, but I'm proud of you and sending you love.
This is exactly what I did. My abusive ex and I had split. I lost my job and moved home with nothing to lose. I got clean at the start of the pandemic, but relapsed after being in the hospital and on pain meds. So, I went in the methadone program against every fiber of my being. It is great short term, as you said, to help stabilize your life. Long term, physically it can be just as bad as what you're coming off of. It gave me a chance to do therapy and rebuild my life. I'm clean and now have my own apartment, I'm seeing a wonderful man, and changed career fields to my dream job after waitressing for 15 years and teaching for 5. There is hope, you just have to be willing to put in the work. It took me a long time to get there, but I am so glad I did. Congrats on the place and sobriety. Edit, thank you for my first awards. And LT, 3.
If you just up and move to a place where you don't know anybody, you have a very better chance of getting off DG. If you change your environment, your brain has to create new pathways to adapt. A ton of the soldiers shot up heroin in Vietnam, but nearly none of them did when they came back for the same reason.
If I had a nickel for everyone I met in FL at rehabs who moved back home and ODD, I'd have several dollars.
3 years ago I moved from London, UK to Alberta, Canada. Best decision of my life. London is a very lonely city, especially when you're introverted. I never made any real close friends, and it's so insanely expensive that even with a great job I didn't have much money left to go out and enjoy life. And I lived in a small, awful shared apartment where the only space to myself was a probably 20 sq Fort room, Oregon smaller. It is an amazing city, but it didn't work for me. Since being in Alberta I've made some close friends and met the love of my life. I finally have savings and a realistic prospect of buying a house one day. I live in a huge, 2-bedroom apartment by myself. I live near the Rockies, so I do a good amount of hiking. I've been tubing and ice skating with friends. Pre-COVID I started going to a new gym, and on the first session had people saying hi. Probably could have been friends if COVID hadn't hit. Not to mention it's so sunny. The cold is extreme, but I will never miss the grey and rain of England. I moved here with a 2-week Airbnb reservation, $5,000 to survive off and no real plan, no jobs prospects. Just the knowledge I could book a flight home if needed. Somehow it all ended up working out. Edit. I'm stupid and was tired when I wrote this, so I estimated the sides of my room in London, then added instead of multiplying. The room was probably more like 70 square feet. I came here through IEC, which is a reciprocal working holiday program for young people that many countries participate in. The US doesn't participate. This post was very black and white. London is really amazing, I had a lot of great times there. I do miss a lot, but ultimately it wasn't for me. Alberta has its issues, as everywhere does, and the economy is struggling with the oil stuff. Canada isn't some utopia. I have happened to make a good life for myself here and I personally love it. But no hate on the UK, it'll always be my home and I really miss roundabouts.
Awesome. Winters are a bit different, eh?
Are there really wolves out there? Like free roaming?
Oh yeah, they're around. But you don't really need to worry too much about wolves, it's the mountain lions that'll get you.
It's the geese that you should really be afraid of.
Honks threateningly.
Well, here we go again, Rev's chainsaw.
Bro. It's a goose, not a demon. BFG division intensifies at the word goose.
There I go killing again.
The Canadian people are nice. The Canadian geese are assholes.
If you got a problem with Canada gooses, you got a problem with me, and I suggest you let that one marinate.
You knows who I does have a problems with? F indigents from up country.
Geese are to be feared anywhere in the world they exist.
If I was on a plane and saw one, I'd jump out immediately.
Ha, yep. Oregonian here, you don't mess with cougars. They just aren't afraid of us.
Meh, I found avoiding eye contact and just not buying them drinks keeps the cougars at bay.
Depends on where you are. Coyotes are more common, and so are bears. Apart from the metro cities, it's pretty likely to come across wildlife even in urban areas.
Bears and canines scare me. Those two will eat you alive. At least a cat will kill you first. I remember watching that Grizzly Man documentary about Timothy Treadwell and finding out he was eaten alive. Horrifying.
A lot of the Timothy Treadwell stuff is weirdly slanted to make him seem like a good guy, including Grizzly Man. He was a literal danger. He had over 10 years of law enforcement getting involved with him breaking laws regarding backcountry /wildlife. Timothy Treadwell was a danger to himself, obviously, anyone he took into the backcountry, obviously, and to the wildlife. His years of experience is literally written about in textbooks and guidebooks on what not to do. He had zero respect for the backcountry to the point that law enforcement actually tried to ban him from being able to go on expeditions or even into the backcountry. What happened to Amy Huguenot was an absolute tragedy that did not need to happen. But Timothy brought that on himself. He was a fool. https://en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/Timothy_Treadwell.
Thanks for the reading material. You sent me down a rabbit hole that led to a web page about the incident frozen in time. Crazy stuff. http://www.wolfsongnews.org/news/Alaska_current_events_1381.htm.
We have wolves in Sweden too, but they are so cautious and shy. I'm more afraid of wild boars and moose.
I'm originally from Edmonton and left the cold for London. I've found the love of my life here and love the city and European getaways. I'm not sure I could move back, although I do miss the hiking and nature. I actually really get on with the English though, love their sense of humor and sharp wit. Definitely don't miss tipping culture.
The question is, how did you manage to stay? Don't you need a residency of some sort?
We have friends who have done the same. They got immigration exceptions for being in a field that Canada considers important to their economy. Also, being from the UK probably helped a bit more than from some other countries.
They got immigration exceptions for being in a field that Canada considers important to their economy. This is pretty much the only way outside of marriage to get into most major countries these days.
This was the spark that got me working towards a healthcare degree. Obviously not the only factor, but you can't beat that sweet immigration prospect.
I was born in London but thinking about moving away from here someday too. I really believe the constant gloomy weather has an impact on mental health. I just don't feel like I'm living the life I wanted here.
It's funny, I moved away from the UK for a similar reason to California, and didn't like it. Didn't experience some great life shift that others in this sub have had. Didn't find the weather actually altered my mindset that much. Came back to London and loved the city even more. Realized that the build up to summer was way more exciting than just everyday okay weather. I did buy a sad sun lamp thing on Amazon that I use occasionally, but I found that it wasn't really the weather that was bothering me, but more my mindset and longing for something else. I changed my career slightly, not massively, same industry but different section, and made more of an effort to enjoy the amazing things that London does offer. Couldn't imagine living anywhere else now. It's not the same for everyone, and I know for sure the weather has a massive impact on many people's MH, but for me it was masking the root issue, and realizing that has made my life 1000 times more fun and relaxing. I would say though, definitely try moving elsewhere. I didn't grow up in London, I'm from the southwest, and moved for uni. I think for a lot of people who grew up in London they don't try living anywhere else in the UK, let alone abroad. Give it a try. It's always worth it even if you hate it. I know it's hard at the moment cause of COVID, but really look into maybe short-term work abroad, studying, or a longer-term move depending on your age. And on the days when it is sunny in London, go out. Even if it's just to walk around aimlessly. I used to bus up to North London to stroll the posh areas and Hampstead Heath. Sometimes just a walk along the Thames or through a park can really make your day. There's a park near the Brunswick that has goats. There's another in Hackney that has cute fluffy animals, can't remember the name, sorry. Regent's Park is great for seeing funny posh dogs. Plus, no city in the world appreciates a sunny day more than Londoners. The energy and excitement when it gets warm is unmatched. Do what you feel is right for you, keep yourself safe, and try and make the most of what London can offer until you find a way to try something new.
There's a park near the Brunswick that has goats. There's another in Hackney that has cute fluffy animals, can't remember the name, sorry. Hackney City Farm. That place is great.
I can confirm this. Also used to dislike my home country in northwestern Europe cause of the weather and people, felt stuck in a rut, etc. I moved to a warmer country and all it did was make me realize I was fighting symptoms instead of the cause, so to speak. Turns out moving abroad made me appreciate my home country more. Did not expect that making the move. But if I never moved I would have never realized this, so I recognize very much what you're saying.
I'm from a small town in the UK Midlands. Moved to London when I was 28 and loved it. Had the best 11 years there. Met my wife who is an Aussie and now lived in Sydney, Australia for the last 5 years, own a house with 2 young kids and love it here too for different reasons. Funny the path that life takes you on. But sometimes you have to choose to step off and make your own changes.
I've lived in Birmingham, Liverpool, Aberystwyth, and London. In Liverpool there were gangs in the park opposite me, we saw the aftermath of a stabbing, my car got broken into twice and then stolen and the police made me pay twice what I paid for it to get it back and it was a wreck. I was only there 6 months. I still preferred it to London. For the sake of your mental health, please try living somewhere else in the UK, even if just for like 6 months to a year. For the price of renting a room in a bad part of London, you can get a friggin' mortgage most other places. One of the most affecting conversations I had when I was in London was with a receptionist at a job I was applying for. She asked me where I was from and I told her. She asked me how I was enjoying London and I said that, to be honest, it hadn't been too great so far. She said, "What do you mean? London is the best place in the whole world." So I asked her, "Sorry, but have you ever been anywhere else?" And she replied, "Why would I?" She went on to explain to me that she had never been outside of the M25. She was fiercely proud of this. It terrified me that someone could have that attitude.
I did pretty much the exact same thing as you, down to the budget, plan and all. Except I moved to Whistler originally and settled just outside of Vancouver. Huge decision and move alone when young, but it's also worked out well so far. Got a job better than I could have ever hoped that'll allow me to visit family whenever I want, once COVID done anyway. Best of luck.
I live in Calgary too. Message me if you want to talk or hang out.
I've joked about moving to Canada for years. I've always wanted to live there, no idea why, as I've never been there, but I've always liked the impression that I have of the place, and anyone I've met from Canada has been so friendly. I wish I'd done this when I was younger. I've got 2 kids from a failed marriage who are everything to me, so I couldn't leave them now. I am so jealous that you made the move, but so pleased it worked out for you.
I hope you're just underestimating what a 20 SQ fort room is. A full-size mattress is 28 SQ/foot. If that was your room, I hope you're a dwarf.
What about family back in London? Do you miss them? How do you cope with that?
Not up, but this is the biggest downside to me. I also emigrated from Europe to Alberta 11 years ago. When I left, it was no problem. I was young and mobile and only a plane ride away from home. Now we have 2 young kids, 2 dogs, etc., so traveling is already much more expensive and cumbersome. My dad got diagnosed with cancer in 2015 and died 2 years later. We tried to make it back as often as possible, but this was a very hard time. My mom is getting older and missing out on seeing her grandkids grow up. And now with Corona, I haven't been home for over 2 years. I would have never imagined that what used to be just a quick plane ride away is now so difficult. I love living in Alberta, but this one aspect sometimes feels like a high price to pay.
Alberta's a great place and home for me. Enjoy. Grab a coffee from Rosso for yourself one of these days. I did this 3 months back, shifted from Delhi, my hometown where I lived with my parents and brother, to Bangalore. I had been depressed for the last 3 years. Worked in a very unsatisfactory job and did almost no work. Then in March this year had a manic episode of bipolar I where I spent all my savings on useless stuff, almost got married to a woman I barely knew and quit my job. I was jobless with no money and having panic attacks every day remembering the POO I did and said when I was manic. Also thanks to COVID every problem became 10x. I was suicidal most of the time. Months later I did get a job but the pay was meager. One fine day, 8 months later, I fought with my brother and I had had enough. So later that night packed some of my stuff and booked my flight to Bangalore and quit my job. After 2 months of struggle I got a new job with almost thrice the income. Rented my own 2 BHK flat all for myself. Threw all my old clothes and got new ones. Started 3 other things. Started learning boxing and lots more. All my friends live nearby and best of all I live in the best area probably in all of India. Everything is so much better that sometimes I think it is all in my head and I am actually in coma from a suicide attempt. Tell me this is real. How it will work for others, but I think it is worth a shot. Thanks a lot for all the love, it really made my day. There is a lot of concern of this being a sign of me being manic again. Some people with bipolar/know someone with bipolar are asking me how I know this is not mania. These are the steps I am taking, hopefully it helps someone. I have a 12-point scale that I rate myself every day on. 0 is utterly suicidal, 1 to 2 is dark depression, 3 is mild depression, 4 is low mood, 5 to 6 is stable, 7 to 8 is high energy, caution, 9 to 10 is hypomania, 11 to 12 is paranoid mania. When I came to Bangalore on an impulse I was 4, then 5 to 6 and hovered at 7 to 8 and sometimes 9. I take regular therapy sessions, at least 4 times a month from a clinical psychologist trained in dealing with bipolar. She regularly accesses and checks signs of mania/depression. Whenever I reach 8/9 on the 12-point scale I contact my psychiatrist to make sure I don't climb higher. He prescribes olanzapine, anti-mania D, as SOS. He initially told me to take it every day but that DFS up my emotions/energy, so I tightly monitor my mood and take it SOS in consultation with him. I have an impulse control rule. Whenever something sounds impulsive/too good I first talk about it with friends and family to check if I am not crazy again, then set a time duration after which I can act on the impulse. I am prescribed one med and I take that every day without fail whatsoever happens. Also I refrain from DG, I always wanted to do LSD, etc. but I won't ever because that instantly triggers mania in lot of people. So I am trying my best not to go manic/in depression again. Let's hope it works. Best of luck to all bipolar people out there, much love. There is a silver lining, trust me.
That's amazing, and I can confirm you're in reality right now.
Or can you?
Of course. Of course it's happening inside your head, but why on earth would that mean it isn't real?
r/unexpected Hogwarts.
Did not expect a Harry Potter quote here, but nice.
First time replying ever on Reddit. I am bipolar 2 and soon moving to Bangalore. I hope the turnaround for me is as happy as yours. Congratulations, you are past the worst.
It will be. Remember to hit up your new neighbors, and make as many friends as you can. People here are a chatty bunch if initiated right, but we have loads of love and care to give out. Take care and let every moment of your new journey sink in.
Hey my man. Bangalorean here. The city is the best place to start anew and you get loads of things to be happy about. This city has its trials and tribulations, but everyone is sweet and you'll find many people from all other parts of India here. If I were there I would welcome you with open arms and a tight hug, but alas, I might as well send it online. Take care of yourself. You have access to friends, proper qualified therapists, gyms and a load of green cover to get lost in. Most of all, we love you and you have what it takes to reach where you wanna be.
So happy for you. I've been to Bangalore on business and I thought it was such a great place. If you can, go hit the BYG Brewski. That place is super fun.
When someone greets you and asks how are you, your response should be I'm living the dream, because you have a dream life but it is in fact your reality that you live in every day. Your story is very inspiring and shows others that although it may be difficult and scary to do, it is possible to get out of a bad situation and find happiness. Thank you for sharing. Sold everything and got on a Greyhound with my 2 little kids and went across country to a big city I had visited once and loved. We've been here 11 years now. Have never regretted making this our home. It was very hard. We have struggled so much. But the decent life we have now made it worthwhile.
Did you have anything lined up getting off the bus?
Sort of. A casual friend offered to let me stay. I'm forever indebted to them giving me a chance. But there were a lot of problems at that house. Not good for kids, and we were out on the street looking for shelter options within a month.
Well, if this counts as starting a new life, but when I was a young teen my single, disabled mother, me, and my little sister was living in a toxic house with someone while we were down on our luck. I mean the people we stayed with would lock us out constantly then scream at us when we knocked to come in, stock the bathrooms and try to barge in on us, so we had to all go together, and go to sleep at like 7 p.m. and expect it to be silent after that. It was so bad that my mother finally decided she would rather be homeless than have to deal with that toxic place. So, in the middle of the night we slipped the AC out the window and snuck out the window and never looked bad. The 2 years that passed after that weren't much better. We slept in our car and had to bathe at the beach. It was hard working every day and hiding we were homeless. But we finally got a place last year that we're all so thankful for. For anyone that is in an abusive, toxic household thinking of leaving but too afraid to do it. It won't be easy at first, but stay strong and keep faith, and never give up. Good things will eventually come out of it. It's worth the struggle to have peace, mentally and emotionally. Edit, specified my age better LOL. Also, thanks for all the upvotes and awards. I hope this gives someone in a rough situation the courage to seek better things. Good luck to everyone.
Wow. One moment of insane bravery changed everything. I wish your family all the best.
A 3-day bus ride from Illinois to New York. I was so tired when I got there. I didn't see my future wife for almost an hour and felt that she got cold feet seeing as we had never met. We met, went to one of her friend's house and got to know each other, and wound up making out on her couch. 20 plus years and 3 kids later, I haven't regretted a single day.
I was just thinking to myself, how in the hell did you meet your future wife? There was no dating apps, no internet, nothing like that 20 years ago. Starts doing math, double checks using fingers and toes. Pooh, I'm getting old, and so is the internet. ICQ actually, and yes, we were talking back when 56K modems were the best thing since sliced bread. Downside, anytime someone picked up the phone or called, you had to hurry up and hang up, or you had to go through the handshake again. We would actually take turns going online and offline during our chat sessions. It was so annoying.
3 days. What year was this?
I took a 3-day bus from Dallas to New Orleans once cause it was the cheapest route. Took me through Amarillo, Little Rock, Houston, and Jackson before dropping me in Nola, among many other smaller towns. Who gets wonky sometimes? Like when you fly from LA to San Fran connecting through JFK.
In the early 2000s, when I was backpacking round the world, I needed to book a flight from London to Halifax. The hostel in Amsterdam where I was staying had a strict 15-minute rule for computer and internet usage, so I booked the cheapest flight I could find in that time. So about a week later, when I had the chance to check my booking, I saw the route was London, Chicago, Boston, Montreal, Halifax. Had a 10-hour overnight layover in Boston where I spent whatever money I saved on a direct flight at the airport bar.
It took me almost 36 hours to fly from Denver to San Fran for work 3 years ago. I literally flew Dallas, Houston, Chicago, O'Hare, Seattle, San Fran with long layovers in Dallas and O'Hare. That company also just picked the cheapest ticket possible, but I was getting paid hourly, so whatever, man, shrugging.
Pre-2001 apparently.